To conclude this series, I want to encourage you to believe that prayer changes things. Your life and many things around you can be very different if you pray with faith. So I'm going to share some personal stories, and my hope is that these will encourage you to put into practice what we've talked about. One of the first things that prayer changes, in my experience, is us. As a young person, I felt I had a lot to forgive my father for, so I chose to forgive him because the Bible commands that we forgive others. But I didn't feel that forgiveness. So I was encouraged to pray a blessing on him every time I thought of him. Then one day, after about 5 years of doing this, 3.5 years after I'd left home, I remember the very day when I felt a burden lift off me. I became emotionally free on that day from things that could have messed with me for life. And I believe it was a game changer for my life. I found emotional freedom through selflessly praying for someone else. And the same can happen for you. Sometimes when we selflessly pray for others, God blesses us. Another thing we can pray for is those who do not know Christ, as well as for ourselves, that we will represent Him well. I've prayed for friends and I've seen them come to faith. I've prayed for opportunities to tell others about God, and I've found many such opportunities. The early believers did this in Acts chapter 4. They prayed for boldness because they were being persecuted for their faith. And even though they'd only just got out of prison, they ended up going back straight to the public places of the city to preach, which blew the minds of the authorities because they'd never seen fearlessness like it. Once I was to preach to a crowd that was out of control. The last thing they wanted was to hear someone talk, and I literally fell to my knees to pray behind the stage because I was so fearful. Yet within about 20 seconds of me starting to speak, there was dead silence and a crowd of about 700 young people for the first time in over 2 hours. And it continued right through until my talk finished and 30 people responded to follow Jesus at the conclusion. We can pray for the sick, and the Bible says they'll be healed. I haven't seen a lot of healings, but I've seen some, and miraculous signs are one of the things that Jesus says will follow those who believe. Jesus' ministry quite clearly included many signs and wonders, and He said that those who followed Him would do the works He did and even greater. Another thing we can pray for is wisdom in all our decision making. In James 1:5 it says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all who ask without finding fault, and it will be given to him." Many times I've been in situations and have found solutions, and I'm convinced that this has been more than my own brain doing the work. And God can do the same for you. All of this isn't to mention a huge range of other prayers. I think of finding a house suitable for a large family with a limited budget, the provision of vehicles when needed, and divine leading in life's biggest decisions, including marriage. We've seen miraculous daily provision when living by faith, while also needing quite miraculous provision for various Christian efforts that I've been involved in initiating. The fact is, God answers our prayers. In the book of Revelation, there is a picture of some bowls full of oil that represent the prayers of the saints throughout the ages, stored up for a specific time and place. And the point is this: no prayer is wasted. Even if prayers are not answered in our lifetimes, God always answers and never forgets. The writer to the Hebrews therefore said, "Let us approach the throne of grace with confidence." God does forgive our sin. He will answer our prayers, if only we will be bold to ask. So in conclusion, why not make prayer a habit in your life? The key to making a new habit is to attach it to an existing habit. So you eat each day, so pray at the meal table before eating. You get up each morning, so pray then. You go to bed each night, so pray then. Pray for 5 minutes every time you get into the car alone, or when you walk out the gate to go to work or to school. Or join a regular prayer meeting at a regular time and place each week, because if you get in the habit of praying, I believe you'll begin to see all that God can do. And not only will you experience more of His blessings in your own life, the world will be changed through you.